Hello, in this video we're going to answer this long response question from your practice test. So let's read the problem. We're going to write a program that will do the following. 1. Create a one-dimensional array of characters of length 10, and I've added a little extension there which we'll do at the end of this video. 2. We want to take a character input from the user for each element. Assume all inputs are valid capital letters. And it's really important to take note of these statements about assuming things or error checking, because often if you try and error check in situations where you're not supposed to, the problem becomes significantly harder. We want to prompt the user for a character to remove from the array, and we want to replace all instances of the inputted variable with star. And the program should output how many elements have been replaced. So when you're doing a problem like this, there's always a sample output given. So let's take a look at it and make sure we understand the problem. So we can see here we take the input for the 10 characters, and we only do that once. And then we ask the user to input a character to remove. It tells us how many characters have been replaced. And then it asks us if we want to do that again. Now, a lot of people will sometimes get caught up in, is it capital Y? How do I error check this? We're going to assume that the person always puts in Y or N. In this case, and I'm not worried about if it's upper or lower case. It's really important to note that this is a sample input. In these types of questions, it doesn't have to match this exactly because we're interested in your logical development, but trying to mirror the sample input's really a good way to approach it. So let's read the rest of this. The program should only populate the array of characters once. The user should be able to enter as many characters to replace as desired. Then sample screen output is provided. Your screen output should communicate the same idea, but it does not have to match word for word. Your program should be case sensitive. So if the array is populated with, here are some examples, with A, C, D, E, A, B, C, A, A, Z, and the user inputs capital A, it's going to replace all the stars, the 4 A's. If it input user C, then it's going to replace the 2 C's. If the user inputs R, it's going to replace no R's because there's none, and we end the program. So we come down here now. So this question will be done on paper, but I'm going to actually code it. It's really important you write it on paper first because you want to make sure you know how to code these on paper. For that, let's dive in. So step 1, we're going to create an array of characters. So char R equals new char, and we want to make 10 of them. We're going to put our variables up here as well. So in the question, we give you the scanner. So scanner s equals new scanner, system.in. There we go. It's taking a second just to figure things out. There we go. Let's import this. So step 1 is create an array of characters, 10 characters. Step 2 is we take input. So to take an input, what we have to do is, to do this, we loop through each element and take an input. So to loop through an array, we use our classic counted loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than ar.length. Really want to stress this point that we actually use the built-in length value, and then I is equal to I plus 1, brace, and then we do something like system.print input character, and then I'm going to say arr at I is equal to s.next dot char at 0. So the way in Java we take a character input is we actually take a string input and then we chop off the first character using the char at function. So step 3 is we are going to then take an input to look for the character to replace. So to do this, I'm going to have to come up here and make another variable. So we're going to make a char called, I don't know, replace. And currently we're going to put an empty character in. Note that characters have to be enclosed in single quotes. That's why I really stress for those of you transferring from Python to Java is in Python to always use double quotes for strings, because even though in Python you can use single quotes for strings, it's just other languages don't. Okay, so take an input for the character to replace. So I can do something like system.out.print. What character would you like to replace? And then I'm going to say replace equals s.next.char at 0. Step 4 is now I'm going to loop through array and find all instances of replace and replace it with star. So again, this is that idea that we're really testing here is, can you write a loop to traverse an array for int I equals 0, I is less than ar.length, I is equal to I plus 1. And I'm going to put an if statement in here. So if ar at I, so basically check the element. If it's equivalent to replace, then ar at I is equal to single quote star. Now, the other part of this is we need to count the number of times that we replace the character. So in order to do this, I need to make a counter variable. So int ctr equals 0. This is going to keep count of replaced characters. This will take input for character to replace. So every time I replace a character, I'm simply going to go ctr equals ctr plus 1. I'm just going to add 1 to ctr. So now when I'm done the loop, I just simply say system.out.println. We have replaced, let's make our output a little clearer, ctr so it says we have replaced ctr, whatever the letter is, with star. So this isn't perfect, but let's just run it. And let's just take a look. We're going to proceed anyways. Oh, I got to slide my screen over here a little bit. So let's get rid of this altogether. That's better. Input character. So if I go A, B, C, D, E. Oh, so what character would you like to replace? K. I've replaced 0 Ks with star. Let's run that once more, and I'll pay a little closer attention. So I say proceed, and I'm going to put all A's in. What character would you like to replace? I replaced 10 A's with star. And now we're almost there. But what I need to do is I need to loop this replacing part. So one of the things when I want to loop something, and I don't know how many times it's going to loop, it's good to use a conditional loop. So our two classification loops are conditional loops and counted loops. Counted loops, or for loops, are really good when we know in advance how many times that has to run. So I know for sure that I know in advance how many times this loop is going to have to run, so I use a for loop. But the thing is, I don't know how many characters the user is going to want to replace. So in this case, a conditional loop is far better. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to use a do while loop because I know this has to run at least once. So I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to tab that in. So that's inside my do while. So there's the open of my do while. And then I come to the bottom, I'm going to close it, and I'm going to say while. And now I have to take an input to say, would you like to replace another letter? So we're going to come up here. We're going to make a new variable. We're going to make a char called again. We're going to put y in it for now. And then I'm going to scroll down here. And first I'm going to take an input. So I'm going to say system.out.print. Would you like to search again? And now I'm going to take my input. So I'm going to say again equals s.next.char at 0. And then I'm going to say while again is equivalent to capital Y, or again is equivalent to capital Y. So I think small y or capital Y. So when you set this up, you might set a slightly different condition using while again is not equal to no and is not equal to small n and is not equal to capital N, but I just chose to go with the y's. So if I run this now, here is another code. Slide this up. So if I go A, B, 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 C, 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 D. So I would like to replace the A. And I've replaced 3 A's with star. Would you like to search again? Yes. I'd like to replace B. Now watch, I'm going to get an error here. A logic error, in fact. Because when I run it, it's telling me that I've replaced 6 B's with star. But that's not true, because I've only replaced 3. The problem here is that I'm not resetting my variable CTR. Because remember, if I come back into the program here, let's just make sure first this ends. Would you like to search again? No. Program done. I always like to maybe just add this here just so you can see system.out.println and program. What we have to do is we have to reset CTR. So at the top here, notice how CTR gets set to 0. And then if I come down here, CTR gets incremented, but I never reset it. So I'm just going to put up here CTR equals 0 to reset it back to 0. So now if I run this, input character, if I go A, B, 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 let's make this a little bigger, C, 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 D. I want to replace A, I've replaced 3. I want to replace B. That is, would you like to play again? Let's try this again. A, B, 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 C, 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 D. Would you like to, what character would you like to replace? A. Search again, yes. What character would you like to replace? B. And you see it works there. Would you like to search again? Yes. W. Would you like to search again? No. End of program. So there's a lot of really nice ideas here. This is a simple program in terms of it doesn't do anything fancy, but it highlights a lot of essential skills you need when you get into more complex algorithms. I'm just going to end with one last modification. Sometimes with a program like this is, as opposed to setting the size in advance, we might ask the user to set this size. So you can do something like this. You could do something like int num equals, and then we're going to say system.out.print how many characters do you want to store. Let's make this print line. I just like the look of this better. And then int num equals s.nextInt. So what I can do is I can take an input, and then once I have that integer input, I can pass it into my array to set it. So now I can set my array to any size that I want. I hope this video helped. And as always, don't hesitate to ask questions. Have a great day.